And what's interesting is when we use the word love in Western American culture, like we typically think of it as a feeling,
Yeah.
like as an
I love
emotion,
you.
something you experience. But this, the most famous love chapter in the Bible, it describes love primarily as an action. Hey, 1 Degree fam, I'm Nathaniel.
And I'm Zan, and this is the 1 Degree Podcast, where we talk about what it looks like to be married as followers of Jesus.
Look, we know that life gets full. Marriage, kids, work, church, sports, the list goes on and on. But we believe that a thriving marriage does not happen by accident.
Each episode will give you real conversations, practical tools, and biblical encouragement to help you connect deeply with your spouse and live on mission together.
So, whether you're folding laundry, driving to work, or maybe even working out, we're glad you're here with us.
Let's dive in. What is up, 1 Degree fam?
What is up, fam? Welcome back to the comfy, cozy, virtual leather couch, where we and you have probably heard lines before like, you just gotta follow your heart, or you just gotta trust your gut. You gotta do what feels right. But what we're going to be talking about here today is why that idea of just follow your heart can really harm your marriage.
Interestingly, as you're saying that, to me, this may sound dumb because there's just like sayings, but following your heart and trusting your gut feel different. To me,
Interesting.
following your heart is like the whims of your emotions. Like what do you feel like? It's an
But-
emotional thing. And trusting your gut is discernment. Like when somebody's like,
Mm,
what's your gut say? That to me feels like a discerning thing.
no, to
Maybe
me,
that's just my interpretation.
trust your gut is more, you're still basing it on feeling. Like, how do you feel about this? You know,
Yeah.
trust your gut sort of deal.
Yeah. I guess the only time it's ever like, what's your gut say? It's like in a work setting. And so it's less like, we're not
Yeah,
trying
and that's, but even that, and that's,
yeah, it's like
you know,
based
okay
on the
at
data you have
times.
at hand.
Like, what are you feeling?
What are you feeling? Like, it's a little mental. I think it's more like discernment. It's more holistic. Anyway, the point is, this is not a dogmatic statement. It's just interesting. I think they're different.
Yeah.
Write in and let me know if you think they're different.
But anyway, just that idea of following your heart, of, you know, why it can be harmful for your marriage, because, you know, if you're supposed to follow your heart in your marriage, what happens on those days where you don't feel like loving your spouse, or your heart says that you don't love them anymore, or,
When you're in luteal and
I can relate.
you just simply cannot.
Yeah.
You know, if you know.
All right, so let's start with, like, where does this come from? Like, how has this developed? Where do you hear this? Because I think it's interesting. I think a lot of us would say, oh yeah, it's cliche, but the one thing about cliches is, even if you recognize your cliche, like, you're still internalizing them. Like,
Yeah.
when you hear rhetoric like that of just follow your heart, even if you recognize the cliche behind it, a lot of times you can still internalize it subconsciously, you know?
Yeah. I mean, where does it come from? I feel like it's whimsical. It sounds very enticing from just like a fairy tale standpoint. We've got Disney movies. I can't pinpoint it, but there's some very famous or well-known
Pretty
song
much.
that's like has Follow Your Heart in it.
I don't know if it's Follow Your Heart, but it's like Moana. Think about Moana. Like,
I don't know what it is. She's a wayfinder.
she's a wayfinder, but it's like that whole idea of like, oh, they just want me to stay, but my heart leads to the ocean and I need to follow my heart, you know?
Yeah. So
I've been staring at the edge of the water.
I mean, great soundtrack. But anyway, so it sounds very self-empowering.
Yeah.
Sounds, I think even if you take out the outlying, obviously there's the very like, own your truth, and like we can mock those things, or maybe that's harsh, but like we can denounce those things as Christians of like blatantly not what we should be doing.
Yeah.
But take out those outliers. There's still this idea that, yeah, of like self-empowerment, of you should do what's best for you. You should look out for your feelings. Your feelings are a strong indicator of what is right for you. And yeah, I just think it's kind of been this pendulum shift away from the group. And we love individualism in America, especially like in Western society. And so this is very individualistic and yeah, self-glorifying to follow your own heart and to follow your own desires.
And just that idea of like, oh yeah, I feel like this is right for me. Like there's that language
Yeah.
in our culture, of like, oh yeah, I feel like this is the right thing to do. I feel like this is
Like
right
what
for
is
me.
best for you?
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
common thing. And I mean, that is not an inherently
Yeah.
bad question. I have sat like in not counseling sessions, but like counseling in a informal way with friends of like, what do
Yeah.
you think is best for you in this situation?
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to consider. It's not ultimate.
But also too, I'm not talking about the
Right.
like what's best for you as you sit and discern that. I'm talking about that language of like, what do you feel is best for you?
That's
Just
fair.
that feeling language is
That's
very
true.
prevalent in
That's
our
true.
society and in our culture. I'm not talking about the latter, that like I just said, I'm not
The
talking about
consideration of what's best. It's more the like
oh yeah, I feel like this is the right thing
emotional.
to do. And a lot of it can be driven on emotions. And the dangerous thing is that when you bring that into marriage of like, what do you feel is the best thing to do? Or what do you feel like is right in your marriage? I think that there's this subtle lie when you have this feeling language that feelings are fact. And if those feelings dissipate and you no longer have those feelings in marriage, that there is no longer love. Or on those days that you just don't have those feelings, that your feelings dictate your actions, where
Yeah.
that shouldn't be the case.
I mean, this is a cliche, arguably a better one, but that idea that love is not a feeling, it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is what we're saying here. It's like
Yeah.
love, you're not relying on that emotion of love
Yep.
to withstand and to strengthen and whatever for the longevity of your marriage.
Yeah.
You're relying on that choice of every day loving, which we're going to get into.
So if I asked you why not, like, why shouldn't I rely on feelings? Like God created me as someone who experiences feelings. Why should I not allow those to dictate my actions? Or why should I not base decisions on my feelings?
Yeah. I mean, feelings are good. They're God given, but they're also fragile and fleeting. And so, like, in my head, I'm thinking of like they're kind of just this like flag that so many external factors can make flow in
Like
different
you just
directions.
joked about like luteal phase, like you
No,
can
truly.
feel
I mean,
different than
I feel a lot more negatively towards everyone that I love when I am in luteal or like, I mean, okay, if you don't know what luteal is, and I'm just like saying that because a lot of people, even childbearing women, do not know their menstrual cycle. That's like, right, that's like PMS. When you think PMS, you're thinking that's luteal. That's why I'm making these jokes, but I'm actually serious. So anyway, it's like you sometimes just feel cranky and a lack of affection towards the people you love most. And so that isn't, but that does not change how the truth of how you not how you
yeah,
feel about them, but like that you
how you
love them,
should
that you're
act towards
yeah,
them.
and that you're committed to them. And like, yeah, some days I feel a lot less affection for my children than other days.
Yeah.
And that does not change how I should be treating them
Yeah.
and my loyalty to like, these things go without saying, but sometimes we act differently.
I just think about how much can affect your feelings, like, oh, I got terrible sleep. I feel a lot less happy and I feel a lot more cranky,
Or you're
like,
stressed at work.
yeah,
I mean, you're in a stressful season for a year. Does that mean and that year, that stress has caused you to feel so much less dopamine, therefore less feeling of love towards your spouse? Does that mean that you now need a divorce? Like I'm taking it to another degree, but that
yeah,
happens.
but and it is true. I even remember like this weekend, like we are talking about the concept of building a house. And a lot of times it can just feel so far out of reach when we're talking about building costs these days and just how expensive everything is. And sometimes when we get down that rabbit hole, I can feel really anxious about the prospect of building a house. But then that is then reflected, not in a good way, but in a sinful way that can be reflected in ways that I like respond to other things in life, respond to you or talk to you, or I can just be a lot more sharp with you and a lot less patient. And I know that's not supposed to be the case, but again, it's just like those feelings of stress and anxiety, they can affect how you feel about other things or other people as well.
Yeah. So are we good on why we shouldn't follow our feelings, do we think? Do we want to flesh that out anymore?
Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would add to that. I think that mainly covers it. And I think most people would say that, okay, feelings,
Oh, my
they,
metaphor that I heard.
oh, yeah, but that was going to come into the next.
Okay.
But go ahead. No, share it now.
My brain's a little jumbled right now. This idea that your feelings are a dashboard in your car. This hits a little close to home lately because the other day when we were driving in, I was driving to pick up the kids at grandma's house, and all of a sudden it came slowly and then all at once. Slowly the um power steering light came on, and I
Mhm.
was like talking to AI about what that was. And then a few seconds later, every single dashboard light came on. And I was like, this cannot be good. Anyway, long story short, our alternator needed replaced. And anyway, the point is, if our feelings are the dash lights, the check engine light, the whatever, um, that is basically when you have, okay, say your check engine light comes on. That doesn't mean you say, all right, it's time to trade in the car, or like it's time to take
Mm,
it to the scrapyard. That is simply an indicator of like, let's look under the hood. Let's have AutoZone plug in their little computer thing and tell us
yeah.
what diagnostic we're coming back with. Like, that is a red flag alert to look for the root cause of that indicator.
Yeah.
And so obviously every metaphor falls apart. But think of your feelings of like, okay, I'm looking at my spouse and I feel very frustrated with them. I feel distant from them. I feel
Mhm.
whatever feeling you feel. That could be as simple as, let's think about it. Oh, I'm hungry. Let's think about it. Oh, I'm super stressed and I actually, or, oh, we
Yeah.
haven't had, it could be obviously, we really need to like uproot some distrust, or we really need to have a deep conversation and get on
Mhm.
the same page about like, it is going to be solved in different ways, but it is just an indicator of something else going on. It is not a reason to scrap a marriage or
Yeah.
whatever measure you take. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
because I think that in general, feelings, they lag kind of behind commitment. Like, commitment is that main driver, and, like, the more we practice and the more committed we
Mhm.
are, like, the feelings will generally follow that instead of the other way around. It's not like, I feel a certain way, so now I'm gonna be committed. It's like, no, I'm
Your
committed, so then now my
I got
feelings.
another metaphor.
But
Your commitment, or your like habit, your commitment, your
Mhm.
choice is the engine of the train.
Yeah,
And your
there you
feelings
go.
are the caboose,
Yeah.
but you don't let the caboose push the train. That's not how it
You don't
works.
let the tail wag the dog, or no, what is it? Like, you don't let the tail, there's some metaphor about that too of
You're
like,
not letting your train be driven by the caboose.
yeah,
It doesn't work like that. You are letting your train be driven by your, I gotta get it
commitment.
right, commitment and habits, and then the feelings follow, which we
Yeah.
could flesh
So
that
let's
out too.
let's no, let's dive into that then
Okay.
of like, what do you actually follow instead? So this is a good transition point of,
Mhm.
okay, so if you're not following your feelings, those aren't the main driver. They're helpful. God created us to have feelings. Those are good, but we aren't making all of our decisions, especially as it pertains to marriage, based on our feelings. What do we base them on instead?
Our commitment that we have vowed to, our
Covenantal commit.
covenantal commitment that we stood in front of each other and others, um, and declared. But yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, I don't think we think a lot about covenants in Western culture. That used to be that was historically
Yeah.
a very big deal. They're kind of a formality, I think, to most people these days of you said it and 50+ % of people break it. So they don't really,
Yeah.
it's not esteemed like it should be. But, um, yeah, I mean, it's your commitment. It's I'm choosing to love you. I'm choosing to in sickness and in health.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to love you when it's hard and when you're not as lovable. I'm choosing to love you when I'm not in a place to have a lot of capacity to serve others.
Mhm.
Like that. What was the original question?
Like what drives
it? Yeah, it's the commitment, I would say.
yeah.
That's the
And I would
test.
say in general, like commitment, like our habits, our love, like all of those are kind of intertwined and intermingled to be,
Mm.
how do we approach our marriages to one another? Because another thing I think of is like just that habit. So, J.K. Smith
J.A.
in
Smith?
J.K., I think. I think it's J.K.
J.A.?
Smith. I
From
don't
You
know.
Are What You Love?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's J.K. Smith. I don't know.
Pretty sure it's
Go ahead.
James
Go ahead. Just search "You Are
What
What You
You
Love."
Love. James K.A.
James K.A. So we were both kind of right.
Yeah, James K.A.
K.A.
Smith.
Smith, he talks about just like the power of habits, and so what he would say, and this is, he talks about that we don't reason our way into our deepest loves. We don't feel our way into our deepest loves, but instead our deepest loves are formed by daily, often unconscious routines and rituals. And so he calls these liturgies. So whether that's going to be scrolling social media, going to the mall, or attending church, it's actually our habits that drive our deepest loves. And so, like, what habits are you having in your marriage? And are they fostering deeper commitment, deeper love, or are they fostering greater distance in your marriage?
It's
And sorry, I was just to say
flesh
one
out
thing
that
really
thought,
quick.
and then I have
So this
something.
is what I mean by that. So I'm a sports fan. I really like sports. When I follow sports more closely, I have a deeper love for them. When I am more distant, I don't have as deep of a love for them. And a great example of this is like the Chicago Cubs. So I follow along, I follow their scores and everything like that. And, when they make a deep run, that's fun. I enjoy it. I'll watch it. But then this year at the beginning of the season, I started listening to a lot more games on the radio. I went to a Cubs game and I've just felt a lot like deeper investment in their outcomes of like, oh man, I'm so much more excited when they win, or oh,
When they win.
excuse me, I'm so much more excited when they win, or oh man, I feel more pain when they lose when I was following them on a daily basis. Now it's been about a month and I've gone back to just checking the scores. I don't have this like deep investment into every single game. Similarly, when it's working out, when I was in this, when I create a habit of working out, going for runs, going to the gym, even when I don't feel like it, I start to cultivate this love for it. And now, like, I notice the days if I don't work out or go to the gym, I feel it. I'm like, oh, I have this energy that I need to burn off. Oh, like I'm really craving a workout or really craving a run. But that only happens when you create that habit. There's so many other things like eating healthy. Similarly, like you create a habit of what you eat and then you start to crave that. There's a reason that like different societies, they crave different kinds of food, and it's because of like you get in a habit of eating those foods and that fosters the love that you have for different foods.
What I was going to say, and it goes tack onto this perfectly, is to me, this is encouraging from a spiritual standpoint, like an encouraging reminder, because it feels like empowering that
Yeah.
probably there's the flaws in why this feels empowering to me. But I think because I'm somebody that likes to have control. And so like when I feel this distance from the Lord and I feel like, oh, I just don't have that affection, like my affections don't feel strong, it sometimes feels this like nebulous out of control thing for me to
Yeah.
foster that. Like how can like, Lord, please like cultivate that in me. Like, Lord, please give me a thirst for your word. But it's still like I feel out of control.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a reminder of how simple it is to like you said, when you're invested in checking the Cubs scores, when you are pursuing going to Cubs games, like you are filling your mind and
Yeah.
exposing yourself just more and more to Cubs scores. It's like, okay, it really is as simple as like just being in the word more
Yeah.
and spending more time in prayer and listening
It,
to more and like it
yeah.
just routine. And I know that's not like that is not it's not just check a bunch of boxes and then
Yep.
you're gonna like love the Lord more and pursue the Lord more, but that also is part of it.
Yeah, and it does help cultivate that love. And just
Mhm.
because, again, going back to the working out analogy, it's not like every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to work out. There's still days I don't feel like it, but
Yeah.
I like always am like, oh, I'm so glad that I worked out when I'm done. And like most days, if I don't work out, I crave that workout by the end of the day. And so similarly, you're not going to wake up every day and want to spend time in the word or like pursue the Lord, but like as you build those habits, you are going to cultivate that love for doing so and that love for the Lord. And kind of in that same vein, it's so interesting if we're talking about, okay, what should drive your marriage if it's not feelings? Okay, so it should be driven by love and it should be driven by commitment and should be driven by habits. When we see love in scripture, like the most famous love verse in scripture is 1 Corinthians 13. And it's, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And what's interesting is when we use the word love in Western American culture, like we typically think of it as a feeling, like as an emotion, something you experience. But the most famous love chapter in the Bible, it describes love primarily as an action, like love.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. No, what were you gonna say?
Completely.
I was just gonna say, like, love bears all things. It believes all things. It hopes all things. It endures all things. Those are all actions,
What I was gonna say is something, I think we talked about this recently, but for me, maybe we didn't. I don't know. People make this big thing in dating of like, did they say I love you? He hasn't said I love you yet. Or like, when did we say I love you? And for me, that has just like never felt like a thing. Like,
we've been together for a long time now.
No, but like in general, like I'm not concerned when people are dating.
Oh, like voice it? Like you're not concerned when they voice it?
No,
Sorry,
I don't know. It's just not a big thing. It's not a big milestone to me to be like, oh, they said they love me, or like, oh, you guys haven't said I love you yet.
Mm-hmm.
It just is insignificant to me, and not insignificant, but like, yeah, no, I think that is what I mean. I think for me, it's like, I don't know, something you said clicked of like, maybe that's why. It's just like, well, we can love, like if love is choosing to love somebody, it's like, that doesn't mean you have to get married to the person. Like you can love a lot of people. Just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like there's this isolated whatever feeling you're declaring in dating, I don't think should be indicating like, oh, well, we should get married or we shouldn't. It's like you're either one saying that as a declaration of feeling a lot of affection, and it's this emotional, and that to me is not grounds for a covenant of just feeling affection for somebody, or you're declaring like, I'm choosing to love you. I don't know. It's just interesting.
I thought
there's a lot of writing on that word sometimes. And I feel like there's a lot of just like wrong.
I thought you were going in the direction of like, oh, it doesn't matter when they voice it because their actions are going to prove it.
That too. Yeah. It's like, who cares if they said, I love you, and that's not suddenly changing other parts of the relationship. I would care way more about like, if I were, I'm thinking like, okay, we're talking about somebody who's dating and they're progressing towards marriage, and we're having this like little chit chat about like, do you think that we should get married? Whatever. It's like, that'd be the last thing I would think to ask. Like, have you guys said you love each other?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like,
that was a
about,
little
like, the
rabbit trail.
And how you treat each other and everything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting because Paul here in 1 Corinthians, he doesn't describe love as like a feeling that you catch or like a feeling that the Lord provides. He describes it as a list of things that you do even when you don't feel like it. Like that's ultimately what love is. Like love is a choice. It is choosing to love. And so in marriage, like going back to that covenantal commitment, going back to the love, going back to the habits, it is a choice to do things that you don't always feel like doing, but it's going to cultivate the love that you have for your spouse. And I think that kind of goes in kind of with that whole 1 degree. Well, no, like what we talk about, like within 1 degree, like it's these small actions that you do on a regular basis that you repeat is going to cultivate the love that you have for your spouse.
It's interesting because I could not tell you what it's called, but I've read about this concept of like psychologically, when your brain is always working towards aligning your actions with your thoughts. And so like if you are angry with your spouse or like feeling a lack of affection towards your spouse, but you then go out of your way against all feelings to serve your spouse and do something out of love, your brain is rewiring in some way. It's not like this quick fix, but like to reconcile those two. And it's like you're going to start feeling it softens you towards your spouse.
Isn't that similar, like the smile feedback mechanism, right? Like,
similar. I think that's like a lot more just like biochemistry of like smiling, the muscles moving in your mouth to form a smile creates dopamine in your brain, or oxytocin. I think one of the two feel good hormones.
But what I'm saying, even when you're upset, they talk about like, oh, smile, seek to smile genuinely, and that's going to help cultivate a good attitude. It's like, oh, you're upset, like seek to love or make choices that love, and that's going to cultivate a deeper love for your spouse.
It's similar to like when you're having conflict and you force yourself to hug. Like hugging releases oxytocin, and no, it's not instant, but like you will feel softened.
Or, our conflict plan of like when you look each other in the eyes and say that you're on the same team, when you stop and pray, like those are all things that I guarantee, like I do not feel like doing when we're in the middle of the conflict. Like you don't feel like doing those things, but then you do them and it softens you and it creates and cultivates an environment of love and affection for one another.
Basically, these are all just sub-point elements or evidence to prove that idea of your habits, your choices, your commitment, your whatever, those engines on the train do lead to that caboose of feelings moving.
And I do want to say a quick caveat. Like, this not gaslighting isn't the right term, but what is it when pretending like everything's great?
No, I would say is it?
It's not like gaslighting. There's like a specific term for it, I think.
I would say a devil's advocate, or it would say like, oh, so you just gaslight yourself into thinking that that you love your spouse. Like you just gaslight your emotions.
And I would say that no, like God created us to have feelings, and we see all throughout Scripture, Jesus wept. He didn't act like everything was great and okay all the time. No, Jesus wept. Like David cried out to the Lord in anguish. He's not saying like life is amazing all the time. Like we are beings that have been created to have emotions, to have feelings, but there's a difference between allowing your feelings to inform you and allowing your feelings to run the whole show. And I think that's okay.
Jesus wept, but then he still got on the cross.
Yeah, but I was talking about like Jesus wept when, Lazarus died, and
that's fair.
That's fair.
But like Jesus cried out like, why, like, Lord, please, like if it be your will, take this cup from me.
And he did cry in the garden.
Yeah, that's more, I guess that's not the Jesus wept. But when he's crying in the garden, and it's like, he didn't just follow his feelings, he could have.
Yeah. No, that's true. Like he didn't feel like doing it, and he still did. And I think that's the difference, is that like, no, we are feeling being, and we would be lying if we said our feelings don't affect us, but we need to allow them to inform us, but we don't allow them to drive our decisions, to become the engine or anything like that. You go back to that idea of love in the truest sense of the word, how Bible describes it, the covenantal commitment and like the habits, your daily habits. Yeah. So 1 degree shift.
1 degree shift. Do something that your feelings are not dictating towards your spouse. Have a...
Just the way that you worded that.
That's just how my brain spat it out. But yeah, choose an intentional act of love towards your spouse, regardless of how you're feeling towards your spouse today. So text them something you appreciate about them, make them their favorite coffee drink, give them a hug, like whatever act of love would serve them best, despite even better if you are not in a place right now where for whatever reason you're feeling a lot of affection.
Yeah. Yep.
Would you add anything?
No, that's all I got.
All right. Love you, 1 degree fam. Catch you next week.
Love you, fam.
Thanks for tuning in for this episode of the 1 Degree Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'd be so appreciative if you take just a few seconds to leave a rating and a quick review. We love to hear your feedback, and those ratings really do help make it easier for others to find this podcast.
And if you want to continue this chat or share your takeaways, we'd love to hear from you. Head on over to our Instagram at the 1 Degree Podcast and leave a comment or send us a DM. We can't wait to hear from you. Catch you next week, 1 Degree fam.